Sandman.
Creepy legends connected with the Book of the Dead Necronomicon have been familiar to mankind for a long time. At different times the book was called differently: the Key to the Gates of Hell, the Book of Evil, the Book of the Dead. But today it is most often called the Book of the Dead Necronomicon. Someone believes Necronomicon fiction famous writer Howard Lovecraft, but most are still convinced that the book is real. Today on the internet there are a huge number of sites where anyone can read the content of the legendary grimoire. However, with all the power of the World Wide Web, there are things she is not subject to, and Necronomicon is one of them. This book will always be kept secret from the uninitiated, and in our own interest, to keep this order intact for as long as possible. According to tradition, the book contains the history and magical rituals of the great ancient races that lived on Earth before mankind existed. To those who knew the secrets of the Necronomicon, not only the wisdom of the ages, but also the power over otherworldly forces. However, the book does not reveal its secrets to everyone, and the price for curiosity and ignorance may be mental impairment or even death. It is believed that these manuscripts can open gates to parallel worlds. The gates open in both directions and, in exchange for power and strength, one who reads the book risks letting an enormous destructive force into our world. Perhaps this is why the Necronomicon has always been hidden from human eyes, so that no one could read it. It is impossible to play with something that we cannot understand or comprehend. However, the book can not only destroy. The Necronomicon opens up great possibilities for comprehending other worlds, and thus for expanding consciousness. But for this to be possible, humanity needs to grow up a little more. In the original, according to Lovecraft, the Necronomicon was written in Arabic and at the time of its creation was called Kitab al-Azif. Such an unusual name arose as an imitation of the sinister nocturnal sounds that were mistaken by the Arabs for demonic howls. The book was created by the mad poet Abdul al-Hazard, around the 8th century. A native of Sana'a, a province in Yemen, he left home as a young man and wandered the Middle East. He lived for 2 years in the ruins of Babylon, studied the wisdom of the Egyptian priests in Memphis for several years, and then spent a decade in the Arabian desert, which was then called Rub al-Hali, the desert quarter of the world. Today it is called Denna, the dark red desert. It was there that he found the passage to the ancient mythical city of Iram, which contained ancient manuscripts with incredible secrets. This place has long been considered sinister, and the inhabitants of the surrounding land still try to avoid it. Legend has it that the desert is populated by demons and horrible monsters, and the one who survived in it was always considered a hero. The poet was lucky enough to return alive and spend the rest of his life in the Syrian city of Damascus. There he wrote his mysterious book, transcribing all the knowledge he had gained from the ancient manuscripts of the mythical city of Iram, and then suddenly disappeared. Whatever the fate of the author, his work survived. Around the 10th century, the manuscript was translated into Greek and was given the world-familiar name of the Necronomicon. Necro, translated from Greek, means dead, nomos means law, knowledge, experience, icon means image, incarnation. In 1230 the book was translated into Latin. In this translation it retained its Greek name, and later, in the 16th century, the manuscript fell into the hands of Dr. John Dee, who translated it into English. John Dee is a man of legend. A favorite of Queen Elizabeth of England and one of the greatest scientists of the 16th century. Alchemist, magician, and sorcerer. Europe's most illustrious courts contested the honor of hosting him. Once, at the invitation of Emperor Rudolf, he arrived in Prague, and there, according to historical chronicles, in the presence of noblemen, he turned pieces of lead into fine gold. If you wish, you can turn to Gustav Mehring's wonderful book, The Angel of the Western Window, and read the biography of this amazing man. John Dee is the chosen of the ancients, one of the 3 translators of the Book of the Necronomicon. For many centuries, representatives of various religions and cults have hunted for every copy of the Necronomicon, hoping to find and destroy such a dangerous grimoire. But as the legends say, there are 96 copies of the book in the world. And no matter how hard the followers of traditional religious organizations try to destroy the Necronomicon, the number of books always remains the same. However, only 7 of them have any real value. 3 in Arabic, 1 in Greek, 2 in Latin and 1 in English, the one from the pen of John Dee. The rest of the copies have some defects in them. Nevertheless, these books are endowed with a tremendous power that distinguishes the Necronomicon from all others. Rulers and dictators such as Napoleon, Bismarck, Hitler sought to possess a true copy of the Necronomicon. There is evidence that after the Second World War, special groups were created in the United States and the Soviet Union to search for this undiscovered relic. Apparently, their efforts were not successful. Its popularity today, the Necronomicon, is due to the father of the literary horror genre, Howard Lovecraft. The book is mentioned in almost a dozen of his works. According to legend, the writer managed to get hold of one of the valuable copies of the Necronomicon from the followers of the sect, the Crows of Death. To save the book, with the help of his friend, archaeologist Andrew Scott, Lovecraft chose to hide the Necronomicon in a safe place, somewhere in the middle of the sands of the Sahara Desert. The fate of the two friends after that was tragic. Lovecraft soon died, and his friend, archaeologist Andrew Scott, disappeared without a trace. Howard Lovecraft wrote in the genres fantasy, horror, and mysticism. He successfully combined these three genres, which led to a lot of rumors. Lovecraft created the unique world of the Cthulhu mythos. At the end of his life, in his letters to friends, Howard Lovecraft admitted that the Necronomicon was a figment of his imagination. Ancient legend has it that the first was written on the skin of virgins with their blood. But these are most likely only legends. Because of the large number of those who wanted to claim its authorship, the Necronomicon got lost in the vast number of manuscripts as the original, but are only a distorted imitation. Some scholars have tried to link the Necronomicon with the famous Egyptian Book of the Dead, a similar treatise. There were versions that the prototype of the Necronomicon could be the medieval Picatrix or the strangest manuscript in history, the so-called Voynich manuscript. Throughout the 20th century, works claiming to be true Necronomicon appeared. It is often confused with such works as Grimoire Imperium, Simon's Necronomicon, Liber Logoth, published by writer and researcher of the paranormal Colin Wilson. Particular interest in the book, spurred by such feature films as The Dunwich Horror, The Unnamable, Book of the Dead, Dreams in the Witch House, Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, The Legacy of Valdemar, the plot of the most famous and popular movie, Evil Dead, based on the fact that terrible demonic events begin exactly after reading spells from the pages of Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Despite numerous forgeries and speculations, not only the location, but also the true content of the Necronomicon is still a mystery. If Lovecraft is to be believed, in addition to its own history and descriptions of the most complex magical rituals, the old ones reveal the secrets of the structure of the earth and of outer space. Many of the book's passages contain information discovered by modern mathematicians and physicists only in the last century. So what is written about in the Necronomicon, you may ask? About the dark secrets of the nature of the earth and the universe. The book lists some of the deities that were worshipped. Yog-Sothoth, Azathoth, Cthulhu, and Dagon were considered especially important. The magical formulas of the Necronomicon can teach a person to go beyond the boundaries of our reality. The power of the Necronomicon is focused on getting the book into the hands of only self-centered and power-hungry people. Of all the dark mysteries of the universe, such people usually choose the worst, and the fruits of their labors fall heavily on humanity. On the other hand, the Necronomicon is a great source of wisdom of spirit, calling the uninitiated reader, step by step, to ascend to the heights of knowledge of being. Whoever is able to penetrate into the information structure of the encrypted text, can get a huge amount of knowledge. If we put aside all supernatural prerequisites, no one can tell us what the Necronomicon really gives and whether a person is able to know all its power. Perhaps, one day there will be someone who will be able to absorb the wisdom hidden in the book. We can only hope that one day, if the book itself finds its chosen one, it will be a sage and not a dictator.